Hello, all, and welcome to Low Code Campfire for Friday, January 26th, 2024. I'm Patrick Anderson, Technical Support Manager for Plantinap, and I am standing in place of Dale, who is out today. So the Low Code Campfire is a community gathering of people who use Plantinap, where we can share ideas with each other and help each other out. We can feel free to ask any kind of question. This is a very friendly group, and we're Plantinap users of all skill levels are welcome here and can ask any questions they want to and get help from others. All of our campfires are posted on YouTube at youtube.com/Plantinap. You can scan the QR code here to subscribe to our channel, and you can have access to all the content that has been discussed previously on the Low Code Campfire editions. Our agenda is pretty simple. We'll have some introductions, and then we'll go into first call, where we can get the first question from whoever wants to jump in. We'll take a look at any new contributions to Campfire websites, as well as any community feature requests that are in. We have a submitted topic today that we can discuss if we get to it, and Dark Corners and Ghost Stories is where we share the little oddities that we've seen while we've been using Plantinap over the past week. So we really encourage everyone to jump in, show things if you have something to share. If you you can feel free to just jump right in. Anyone can unmute themselves on this call. But if you want to use the chat window instead, that's great. Go right ahead and do that. The only guidelines we have is that you mute yourself if you have a lot of noise in the background, and please be courteous to each other. You can submit questions and topics ahead of time by scanning this QR code, and we really appreciate knowing ahead of time if we have other questions. And from there, I'll just jump in and say hello to everybody and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm glad to have so many people jumping in today. That's awesome. We should have a good call. So then I'll just jump right into the first call. Who has something they want to bring to the group?
I've got a question if no one else has anything.
Yeah, go for it.
I just started getting today. We've gotten it once before, but we're getting a TSL SSL error when using the server request action. And it's probably far-fetched to ask, but I'm wondering if anyone else has ran into that before. We get it when interacting with one specific third-party API.
So it's a specific API that you're having an issue with. It works
Yes,
well.
I suspect they rolled back a fix about a month ago. But they rolled back, I shouldn't call it fix. They rolled back something that they had put out about a month ago. I suspect our issue is that maybe they're limiting the TSL 1.3, and we're on some older server hardware that doesn't support that. So that's my guess, and I've got a question into Dale. But I wasn't sure if anyone else had run into that.
I haven't specifically. I do want to confirm though. Are you using our existing server request action? We have two now. There's one called.
I saw that experimental one today when I was in. I'm using the existing one, and I wasn't sure.
Right.
I've glimpsed at the experimental one, and then I kept ignoring my problem. I didn't touch it. So this is the non-experimental one, the current one.
Okay.
It's all right if you don't have an answer. I figured it would be
don't.
far-fetched, but I jumped on today to see if maybe someone had run into it before.
What I can tell you is that the experimental one is advanced. But we initially, and some of you may recall this, we initially switched completely over to it until we realized that we didn't account for everything that was happening in the older server request and broke some things in the process. So we brought back the old one, and that just to make sure that going forward everybody will have all this, everything that's needed, and then we're going to continue working on the new server request action. So I don't know if it would make a difference, but it's worth trying, I think, just to see. Don't completely redo your processes or anything, but just maybe create a new workflow and try out the request with the new action. I'm
Yeah,
not
that's a good
saying,
idea. I've got a
yeah,
test workflow that I've been working with, so I can swap in the new one and see if it helps out at all. I suspect it's a .NET and server issue, and we're just
yeah,
not compatible with the TLS version. But I will give that a try.
okay, cool. Anybody else? Ben's raising his hand, so let's hear what Ben has to say.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm still a little under the weather.
Oh, I'm glad you're here, though.
Regarding
Thank you.
regarding the TLS thing, uh, if it worked before and stopped working, I would tend to agree with you that it sounds like they changed something on their end. This kind of sort of happened to me as well in the past. And then, once that third-party vendor fixed the TLS issue on their end, then there was no problem. But one of the things you can do if you haven't already done it to look at your own system is there is a free tool that you can download. It's by Nartac Software. It's called IIS Crypto.
Yep,
And
yep.
it,
I've been
oh, okay.
looking at that, Ben. Yeah, I've been
Okay.
looking at that, and uh, it looks like our server is old enough; it doesn't even support TSL 1.3. So if it's the case that they're using that, when I run the request through Postman on the server, it works fine, and it says it's using TSL 1.3. I don't know what Postman's written in, so I don't know if it's not using the Windows Server, security infrastructure, and it's got its own encoded stuff in there. I'm not exactly sure how that works. So that's the one discrepancy I have is Postman
Yeah,
goes through
well,
fine.
I'll tell you right now, TLS 1.3, really not every system is going to be able to utilize that.
That's what I'm surprised if they've actually limited their servers to
They
1.3. I think
can't.
that's a mistake on their end.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
100% a mistake. It's completely unfeasible. No system can limit strictly to 1.3. It's impossible because there are too many servers out there right now that can't utilize 1.3. So you can't do that. You have to, at the very minimum, do 1.2 and 1.3.
that was my thought too. And I just right before I got on this call, I coded up a .NET console app and got the same error with just very basic code similar to what's happening in the server request. So my guess is it's a .NET limitation on this particular server, which maybe doesn't apply to Postman, and maybe an overzealous third party that's decided to accidentally only implement 1.3. But that's just my theory. I'm wondering if
Mhm.
Postman's written in something different and just has its own implementation of TSL on there somehow.
That I couldn't speak
That
on
that
that.
seems I don't know, but that was one reason I jumped on Ben. I figured you maybe would have some input. I know I haven't been on in a while.
Anybody have any other thoughts on that, or another topic? Either way. Well, we'll go ahead and open it up to new topics. Anybody have anything else they want to discuss? Don, I know you have something that I'm going to move into if we don't hear from anybody else.
Oh, great. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and take a look at well, so was the question that came from Don earlier in the week is that he had a forum where he got several submissions in quick succession, and he was looking for ways to keep that from happening. And so Dale suggested to him the possibility of using Google reCAPTCHA version 3, but also the possibility of using our device fingerprint field that we have in the system. So I just wanted to take a look at the device fingerprint field specifically, and then also open it up and see if anybody else has other ideas on what to do. So the device fingerprint field, if anybody's not familiar with it, is a field that we have in the system that basically looks at specific properties of the user's device, and then comes up with a code based on that that's unique for their device. We'll take a look at the field first. So I'm going to go in here, and so I have this this field added to the form, and as you can, well, I'll show you in a second. But it doesn't actually show up on the form. It's here. It will collect all this data and create the code based on the data it collects here. You can exclude things if you want. And maybe we can talk a little bit about strategies for what you might want to exclude here. But by default, it will just use everything, and in order to create the code. And all you really have to do is just put the field on your form, and then what I'm doing is saving that. So I actually created an entity and just created a text field that was called device, and then I came into my automatically generated form and changed the device field type to device fingerprint. And so I didn't really have to change anything else. Let me just see what my conditions are here. Oh yeah, okay, I'm good there. So when I create a new one, I'm just using that that form token. So I think this is already saved, but I'll go ahead and save it just in case and refresh this. So if I just create a new one, I'll just, for ease, go ahead and use the same information I used before. Click add, and you can see, so this new one is getting the exact same device fingerprint that I had previously. What I started to do, so I kind of actually just threw this together right before the call started. So what I was getting ready to do, and I can continue doing that here, is I'm going to, I'm just selecting, I could probably do exists, but to return a Boolean, but I'm going to leave it like this for now because I can use it that way. And I'm going to get my, I think actually it's still on my clipboard. Let me see. There we go. So I'm going to put my field token in here. And actually, this is good. So I'll do, let's make sure I got that right. Just want to make sure that I'm remembering the names of the properties correctly, and I am. So we're going to just select ID created date from, and we'll store the results as exists. And well, so first I'm just going to use exist : ID, and we'll just see if I can block myself from entering another one. So we are going to take this here and say, put a condition here. Exists : ID. So we'll just say if we're getting something from there, then Actually, and I probably should, well, we'll just try it this way. And I think I actually need to establish this ahead of time, but we'll go with this for now. And we'll put in, I'll just put in this for now. I'll say you. And if anybody wants to jump in and give me suggestions, I'm open to that too. But anyway, so I'm going to display an error message, hopefully blocking myself from entering another entry. So let me go ahead and save that like that. Let's see what we got here. So yeah, here we go. It's because the device fingerprint is already in the system. It's blocking me. So then the next thing I would do then is we'll use go into the Campfire form, add, and I'm going to say, and I forget what the parameter is there. Let me just go back and take a look at that. If anybody knows offhand, feel free to tell me. Date time relative add equals. There we go. And we'll say, let's say -1 minute. Am I thinking about this right? If I do -1 minute is less than date time now. Jen knows that this is something that she and I both have. You know,
I recognize that.
yeah, we have to think about this, don't we? Is I wish I had thought about this ahead of time, but I think that this is not going to work because I want to say that say that within the last minute, if I've submitted within the last minute, then I can't submit anymore. And so this is going to always be true.
You could always double up on your original SQL statement and just do it in one shot.
You're saying
in there, because every table has the created on date.
yeah.
So use sys datetime offset will give you the current datetime offset. Check that against the created date time.
Yeah,
off
sure.
of the records.
Yeah.
So you're doing the date check as well as the fingerprint check in one SQL statement.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yep.
About that, out of the blue.
Yeah, what's that? What was that done? No. And Matt, what do you have to say? You're raising your hand there.
Well, I don't want to get in the way of your thought process. I have a related question, which can wait.
Okay. So this is, I'm trying to remember what this is. This datetime offset. Is that, Ben, help me out here because I don't know this stuff right offhand. Is that the correct?
Yes, that's correct with the double paren.
Yep.
Yeah, and then
I have to do a date add, don't I?
Correct.
Yeah. that is comma the
So it would be date add paren what you're adding, the type you're adding rather, I should say.
yeah, which is minute.
So you no right, but you have sustain. It's the first thing is minute after the paren.
Oh, right, yep. This is the number, right? So
No. After date add paren, minute.
oh, the first parameter is minute,
Yeah.
right? Okay, yep, that's right. Okay.
And
It's,
then one. And then right.
Yep. And that is we want this to be less than or greater than the create date.
Well, no, well, I'm trying to think. No, typically what you would want to do is instead of date time offset there, that's where you would use the create date. You add 1 minute to the create date and say that that has to be
Right,
less
yep.
than sysdate time.
Yep. Thank you. Yep. Not greater than, less than. Okay.
I just have to double check if date add works on a datetime offset.
We're not actually using the date add there, but it does. I think I've done that before, but we'll just take this to SQL console to see. Get here. Okay, well, this would allow me to go forward. And if I change this to, let's say,
well, I was gonna say change it to a greater than instead of less than, and then it should
15.
bring something back.
Or yeah, that's, yep. There we go. Yep. Okay. Right, so let's save that, reload it, and say new. Oh, that's right. I did have to correct my SQL in SQL console, and I did not fix it here. So if I go back here and okay, so now if I do, oh, that's not working. I think that we have a problem with the,
You need to delete your other records because you have records that do match.
Right. Yeah. But the idea is that what I'm going for here, and I think it's just a matter of getting this right, is that within a minute after I've submitted, if there is a match in the system, I don't want to allow another submission. That's where I'm going for, and it's really
Exactly.
it's in the SQL. So that's
Well, that certainly makes sense, and
yeah.
I've got a slightly different use case in that people can put in multiple requests, but not 20 of them in a row. They certainly can do 2 or 3 in a row. This is for vote by mail. So you want to say, hey,
Yeah.
I want to vote by mail, and I want my wife to vote by mail. So boom, you got 2 requests that you put in one after the other, and that's perfectly okay. 4 or 5, at that point, you should say, wait a minute, you're doing something wrong. And so I can come up with the logic around that, but I think that's much better than putting in um, the reCAPTCHA, even
Mhm.
version because I'm not positive, but version 3 doesn't have does it have any kind of
Version 3 is where
inputs to it?
you don't have input. It just exists on the page, and it's based on criteria that you specify on how you want to handle whether submissions are allowed or not.
Got it. But you
Yeah.
could, I mean, with version 3, a robot could not fill in the form, but a person could hit submit over and over and over again. Back
Right.
page, submit, back page, submit. So that's why I'm thinking that the device fingerprint makes a lot more sense, because then I can
Yeah, and
say that,
you could do a count of records, and
right.
so you could do a count of records. You could base it on time. So a certain number, once they exceed a certain number of records in a certain time frame, then you block them from entering again. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. The other question is, what about false positives with device I'm not positive just how good it is. Is that truly unique to that device? Obviously, it's a device, so if somebody fills in the form again with another device, goes to another machine, etc., you'll get a different number, right? How
Yeah.
foolproof is this? To use this technique? And if not, is this the best we got?
Um, so we've used it in Plantain App's used it in a lot of implementations, and it's worked well for us. Uh, I think it was used in uh, a remember me type functionality, so that based on on a specific device, whether or not you're remembered on that device, and that's been successful. Does anybody else have any other experience using this and have any thoughts about it?
I haven't had any experience with this, but I will say one thing. Um, Based off of the items that you guys are um, picking up here, I would hazard to guess that there could be situations where this would be problematic, specifically in businesses, because let's say like where I work, we purchase the same exact machine in bulk and they are imaged to be identical. Everyone has the same exact setup, the same software installed, the same versions. Our network controls the upgrade to make sure that everyone is on the same version and, updates are pushed automatically. So in a situation where you have a whole bunch of employees that have the same exact machine with the same exact setup, there may be a good chance where these fingerprints are all going to come back identical.
That's very interesting. But isn't the IP address something similar to it? So somehow the machine, uh, just by virtue of how it's connected to the internet, is going to be different, right? I mean, that seems like well, certainly that does sound like a real a real fringe case for me. So if it's 99%, that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen even at a home. I mean, I'm just saying for argument's sake, let's just say you bought two computers. You have a married couple and they both have a PC, but they bought two identical ones.
Yeah.
And they'll have the same IP address.
Right. And they would have the same IP. But I mean, in here, I don't think you have IP as part of your fingerprint. This is
Yeah.
based off device. So, you would have to add more to this to truly make it unique. So, like in the case of an office environment, if everyone is not going out through one IP address, then you can add IP to the fingerprint to make it unique. So even if the fingerprint is identical, the IP would be different. However, again, if everyone's funneling out off of one IP, that wouldn't work either.
Right.
I don't know what else could be added to this to truly make it unique. Because this again is working off of a browser and you basically only have what's available to the browser. I don't know if the browser is going to be able to read things like, for example, the Windows SID or the username or something like that that can really be truly unique because chances are you're not going to have the same username on two machines that are identical in an office.
Got it. This still sounds like it would be a good solution for me. As anybody have expertise or experience, I should say, with false positives of reCAPTCHA version 3? Just putting that on there. I kind of like this because of the ability to say, you've done this X times. That's kind of neat. But just really, I don't mind if they do it 10 different times. If they put in a vote by mail request for all their relatives, that's fine with me. It's the guy that's trying to hack, and what this person was doing was actually dropping some code into a text field. So it was clearly malevolent.
Yeah.
And I spotted it right away and blocked him, and then cleared out all those records. So no damage, but still, I mean, he was attempting it. So that's the guy I want to catch. I don't want to bother other people with. I'm not a robot, and I don't want to complicate things too much. Just looking for the smartest way to block the bad guys. Let the other people use it.
And you said it was a text field. Do you have the text field sanitized?
Oh, no. What is that?
Because that's especially if you're doing something public like that, and it's by default. So maybe you do because if it's a new form,
yes,
this is turned on by default. So that could help.
Would that eliminate the ability to inject code into a text field like that?
I think it would inhibit it.
I saw was code. I didn't study code. I saw that there was some code there, and I just deleted all the records. So I didn't look into it further. But boy, I wish I did now to get a better understanding of just how the sanitization would have.
Yeah.
worked.
So depending on what he was putting in there, I think that there's I think that is this form public? Is it, or you have to be logged in to use it?
Yes, it's public.
Yeah. So I think definitely on a public forum, I would really hesitate to put a form publicly that doesn't have some sort of something like CAPTCHA or reCAPTCHA or something that requires a little bit more effort to actually save it.
Yes, exactly.
It's not perfect. It's not going to stop everything, but I think it's any way you can inhibit people from trying trying to do multiple fast submissions, I think is a good thing to do.
Got it.
Yeah, and this is not going to be perfect too. I mean, I totally agree with that, but I think it's certainly likely to help. And as far as the the possibility for having matching keys, I think that if you have other so if it was just, okay, this key already exists, you can't enter again, then I think that probably would be a concern. But if you're talking about within 2 minutes you can't enter again, then I think it seems to be unlikely that you'll have a lot of problems with that, because if somebody were to enter something within 2 minutes of the person who has the exact identical browser that creates the exact same key, if they were to enter within 2 minutes, maybe they would just try again or something along those lines. Or you could put in your note that you indicate there, please try again, in 5 minutes or something like that.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, very interesting. Thanks for that. This is very helpful.
So Patrick,
yeah, go ahead, Matt. Yeah.
My follow-on question was, will changing the device fingerprint parameters generate a new or different fingerprint?
Yes, I think it would. Yeah. So I believe. Well, let's just see. Let me just. I'm just going to randomly. I'm just going to randomly exclude a few things, and hopefully something out of this will. And save that. Let's just see what happens. Yes, I have a whole new device fingerprint.
Okay, interesting.
Are there any reasons that one would want to exclude some of those things? It would seem to me that the exclusions, there must be a problem with using one of those fields that, I would think just it would be the most unique by combining all of those parameters.
Yeah, there may be. So one thing that we didn't look at yet is that in the field itself, there is a link to the GitHub repository for the JS that's being used to create this, and of course you have documentation about it here, so you can learn more about what the different things mean. And one of the things that I saw in here is that they have another product called fingerprint identification that says it gets higher accuracy. That's probably something that. So I don't think that our field doesn't use that, but probably something that could be used by using their library.
Right. And in fact, that's what prompted all of this conversation. The question that I originally asked was because of jumping on and reading this and looked like it was somewhat low probability of identification, of unique identification. So I wasn't sure just how much or did you guys somehow license this in with the product and you are using their 99% version?
I think we're using Fingerprint.js. Yes, that's my understanding here. So I don't know. I don't think it is. I don't think it is using the fingerprint identification. No.
Got it.
And I think that one of the things that this probably includes is IP address, and that's it's not in our listing there of things to exclude. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Anybody else have any other strategies for what we're talking about that they want to bring to us?
Well, I have a different question, more along the lines of remember me. So if I device fingerprint and use that as a remember me type option, and the user comes back in and uses a different browser, that then they're not going to be remembered. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we have a series on YouTube around this very topic for Low Code Cafe series. See if I can find the first one. Well, I'll just drag this over here and show you, and show you that all I did was go to our channel and in the search right here, I just put "Remember Me," and so we have a series here that talks about the use of this very feature. Well, it's a combination of things. It incorporates the device fingerprint, but not exclusively. There's more to it than that. So I'll just say that there's a whole lot more to the implementation here than just device fingerprint. So anyway, that's worth taking a look at. Definitely.
Yes, cool.
If anybody doesn't remember that was a good little series that we did quite a while back. It's been 2 years ago now. Any other thoughts from anybody? If not, so this is okay. We talked about that. So Campfire contributions. I did want to take a look at a new contribution that Dale put in, if anybody hasn't had a chance to take a look at that. So we'll go to contributions here. Or actually, before I move on to this, let me just make sure that is there anything else that somebody wants to bring forward as a first call?
I've got one more thing to ask a question about.
Sure.
Has anyone is there anything built into PlanChat for charts? I know outside of PlanChat, I've used Chart.js for doing charts, but is there anything native to PlanChat for, bar graphs, pie charts?
It's something that we have on our long-term list to get to, but no, we haven't got there. And likely when we do it, we'll add it to the dashboard module, which right now is just is basically just KPI cards. But that's I think we would add it to that module. So we do have plans for the future to expand that, but no, right now when we want to do charts, that's what we do. We pull in something like Chart.js or there's lots of different products out there, different libraries that can be pulled in, but that's what we're doing.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Anybody else have any suggestions on charting libraries that they really like?
I use Chart.js quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I did a reasonably good review of it, and for certainly open source, it seems to be the best or one of the best.
Cool.
Hi guys, Jerry here. I'm still old school interface to Google, and so it works, but I'm always looking for a way to kind of break away from that. And I've not experienced Chart.js yet, but when last time we studied this, it seemed like it was probably a better move. Not that Google doesn't work, it works fine. It just can be Google, and it can be hard to interface with sometimes. But if anybody ever needs help with that, I'll be glad to jump in and help.
Cool. Thank you, Jerry. Okay. So Dale, of course, this was his the Low Code Cafe from Wednesday, but he also put this in that I wanted to take a look at. Did I get logged out? Let's see here. Let's reload this. Nope, I'm here. Okay, there we go. So basically, what this is doing is allowing. I think we had a conversation recently about this on Campfire, but This is a way that you can basically encode using this this functionality that he has in place here, these two workflows. You can encode text so that it can be safely delivered within a token without breaking the token. So if people include characters like the opening and closing square brackets or pipe or single quotes or double quotes, running these workflows against the text will encode them so that they can then be delivered within a token without breaking the token. There's a few ways that you could use this, just to make sure that the text is safely deliverable within a token. Or I know I've had a need in the past where I've wanted to. I've done this and it was a little bit more complicated than just having these two workflows. But basically, if I want to provide text that can be copied for on the front end that includes tokens, the text in the token has to be encoded. But anyway, so basically, you can come here and use this. I think probably everybody on this call is a member of Campfire, and if you're not, just let Dale or I know, and we can add you to Campfire. But if I click on Save Encode, you can see that what it's done here is it's taken that text and it's put the encoded values in for the square brackets and the single quotes and the double quote and the pipe, and so it's encoded the whole value, and then it's also taken that encoded value and decoded it as well. So both of these workflows ran when we took a, so we'll just take a look at that so you can see what happened there. And so if I go to the Save Encode, we've encoded the output string using that workflow and put it into a value called encoded. And then we're updating the value output with the encoded value. And then we're executing the decode by putting in the output value and then doing an update and updating the form. So and we can take a look at the two workflows. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me just stop that and open that in a new tab. And just doing a simple JavaScript that's searching the string and replacing the values with regex to replace them with the encoded value. Does this make sense, everybody? Anybody have any thoughts or discussion about it? Does anybody think this looks useful, that you might want to grab these workflows, or at least the JavaScript? I mean, the JavaScript's fairly straightforward, but. And I think, Ben, you've done something like this in the past, correct? I believe we have.
Yeah, I've done so many different things.
Yeah.
But typically what I do is if I'm going to pass stuff that is going to have sensitive characters inside it, I have a token that actually takes the text. It will base 64 it, but base 64 is also problematic with URLs. So then after it does a base 64, it applies then a to hex on that. So, if there's equal signs at the end and stuff like that, even those get encoded. So it just becomes basically alphanumeric. And then if you take that alphanumeric and give it back to that same, or to its decoded, sister function, then it will it'll take that hex, convert that to base 64, and then decode the base 64 to get the original text.
So that sounds that certainly is broader than just replacing the token related symbols, characters.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I use that more because sometimes what I'm doing is I'm passing that information in URL, and I don't necessarily want to pass it either as plain text and I want to obfuscate it, or it could be that there are characters in there like a plus sign or an equal sign or something like that that URLs don't like it being part, of a value to a token, to a query string value.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do something with those values to, obfuscate at least those characters. So in both cases, it works fine for me, because it's just going to spit out a straight alphanumeric character string.
Cool. Anybody else have any other thoughts about this? Any other items for discussion? If not, I'm going to move on to the hierarchy contribution that Dale created on Wednesday. I wanted to see if anybody had more questions about it, and the one thing that Dale didn't get to was implementing the drag and drop, and so I thought I could talk about that a little bit if anybody was interested in that.
Yes, I would be very interested in that.
Okay, alrighty. So so let's take a look at the contribution here first. If anybody, for those of you who weren't on the cafe on Wednesday, real quick, what we're looking at here is so this is just the standard listing view in our listing module. But if I switch to this one here, we have now a hierarchy view that shows a parent-child relationship. Of course, the things that are required for this is you have to have parents identified for each child, and you have to have this property called has children. Dale, as opposed to having this property actually in the database, Dale used a SQL to actually get the has children property on load. So if we take a look at that, basically he's just doing a checking to see if there are children for each record, and if it is, then we're establishing has children as true if there are values that have it listed as a parent, and has children as false if not. So that's how we're getting the has children property there. And then Dale set it up so that we could click edit here, and it would load values over here. So then we can make changes, and he didn't get to put a button in, but obviously if we had a button here, we could save those changes that we did over here. So the other thing that he didn't get to do is if we look at the view properties, we have this enable drag and drop. Right now, enable drag and drop is we can turn it on here, but what we really need to do, and this is so once again, we're marking this as experimental because not every thing that we want to happen with this has occurred yet. But right now, we can enable drag and drop, but we also then on the settings tab, we have to go to the drag and drop actions and establish actions that will happen. One thing that's important to note here. Now I'm going to drag over another screen here so that you can take a look at because we're running short on time here, so I'm going to take a look at an existing scenario. So I have the hierarchy view here. I have drag and drop enabled. If I go to settings and take a look at the drag and drop actions, well, I don't have I must be on the wrong grid because I do have drag and drop. Nope. Okay, which one do I have drag and drop enabled for? Hold on a second here. Maybe it's on this page. Let's see. Do I have it enabled here? Yes, I do. Okay. So let me go to categories listing and settings and drag and drop. Okay. So what I've done here is first, so there's a lot of actions here. Some of this is won't be necessary in a lot of situations because the way this is working is that it's a little bit more complicated than it would normally be. So but what I'm doing in this situation is the first thing I'm doing is updating the category that's being moved. And what I need to point out here that for hierarchy view, so there's some additional help text here. You have access to a future field name token. So this is the parent that this is the new parent. So when you drag and drop something, you're moving something into a new parent. That's another clarification, is that drag and drop in the hierarchy view is simply moving things into different parents. It's not reordering. So reordering has to be handled in a different way. But you can reassign items to new parents by dragging them to another parent. And then the previous namespace points to the previous parent. And so this is a little confusing because the previous namespace, when you're not using the hierarchy view, means something else. So that's basically, it's the item that is above. When you're not using hierarchy view, the previous namespace means the item above, and so it just need to clarify that this has a different meaning when you're using the hierarchy view. So here I'm updating the category with a new parent. So the ID is the item that's being moved, and we're updating the parent ID with the ID of the item where it's being dropped. And then here I'm updating the has children, because in this case we have a has children property. So I'm updating the has children for the new parent to true, just in case it's not already true. We're making sure that the new parent has the has children property set to true. This is a workflow. So I won't go into that, but this is a special workflow that gets executed here because of how this situation is a little bit extra complicated. But then and then I'm updating the has children property for the previous parent. If there's no children left for the previous parent, then I'm updating the has children property to false there. Now, with the scenario where we don't have the has children property and we just calculate that when the grid loads, a lot of this is unnecessary because we don't need to, I don't need to update the has children property. So probably a better design to just have the has children property calculated when the listing loads. And then we're updating the data source. So just take a look at how that works here. So if I want to take this one and make it a there we go. So now it's underneath there. And I can take all these and just put them in there like that. So that's how the drag and drop needs to work for the hierarchy view. Anybody have any thoughts or questions about that? Matt, you unmuted yourself. Did you?
Yeah, I just know it's very interesting. When you say it's experimental, how experimental is it?
I mean, it's being used. It's just that it doesn't it doesn't have all the features we want it to have. You know, there's a lot more that we intend for it to have and for it to do. So, but like for instance, ideally, when you enable drag and drop for the view, you wouldn't need to go and add actions. Maybe the actions you add could be additional actions that happened when you drag and drop. But ideally, we'd be able to drag and drop with just in the view natively. That's one of the things.
Okay, very nice. Thank you.
Cool. Well, we are at time, so let me switch back and get to our final screen here, so I can thank all of you for joining us today, and please join us again for another campfire. I think Dale's going to be back next Friday, so until then, happy low coding. And please stick around for the afterglow if you have time.